So, another eternal concepts with Grok. Let's go. Let's step into it. This one's going to be a little bit on Platonism, Gnosticism, and I'll finish up. I actually just made this post so we can review it together, but Christianity is going to be in the tail end here. So, how did I start? How did I get here? Well, Seneca. Guy has a Seneca account on X. He said, which philosophers have helped you live, not just think? This is a pretty badass question, honestly. He said, Socrates, probably more than any. Maybe Epictetus next. And so I ran into this guy today. And dude's really new to X, but I had a good time talking to him. He said, the greatest mystic to ever live. Yeah, you got to agree, man. You got to agree. People still talk about him a lot. And we see how people appreciated it by sentencing him to death. People, the masses, are undeserving of the divinely inspired. You can look and see what they did to Jesus, too, among other people, right? Yep. And then Christianity shut down Plato's school and killed and exiled the philosophers. Somebody knows what he's talking about. I said, oh, yeah, the righteous ones. Does this pose that the religious types are the sophists? Because if you think about it, that's the who's who of what gets to say, right? And if it's just not jiving with what they preach, then you're out. That sounds like some sophistry style bullshit. He said, I'd say it depends on what we mean by religious types, but as a generalization of religion by the many, yes, for sure. I suppose this was kind of the claim of the Gnostics, no? Because what they were looking at was past the dogmatic doctrines and things and looking to the knowledge itself as the valuable sourced thing, right? So in that, to a certain extent, yes, there's a lot that goes into the whole Gnostic thing. No joke. There's always different ways people can treat spirituality and wisdom. The Platonic tradition does away with belief and focuses on direct insight, non-propositional knowing better than others, in my opinion. Yeah. But he says that Platonic tradition does away with belief and focuses on direct insight, but there is and you'll see in a second, we'll go through it with Grok, but in the Plato model, there is a benevolent God of sorts. I said, so Platonic and Gnostic were on the same train. He said, yes and no. Sorry I have to answer like this. Much of the Gnostic tradition adds in dogmas and belief systems, but also Gnostic doesn't have to be done that way. But Gnosticism was influenced by Platonism, but also added in religious stuff, basically. Man, it seems, I guess it's both. I was going to say, it kind of seemed like Platonism has the religious stuff, but I said, that's fine. Almost all thoughtful answers require nuance. What a weird mixing mess, though. They seem pretty close. As I care to expand on the dogmas, maybe I'll invite the smarty pants. Grok, what say you on this? And the smart guy comes in. Platonism and Gnosticism overlap heavily. Both prioritize direct gnosis and insight over belief, drawing from Plato's forms, soul, ascent, and the one, or divine source. There's your, religious crap. Gnostic dogmas add layers, often dualistic. The demiurge, the flawed creator god, usually Yahweh, traps souls in matter. The demiurge being like, there's a bad guy that did all this to us. Our souls should be free, but, demiurge is like, nah, you're in this thing right now. Pleroma of aeons, divine emanations. Sophia's fall sparks the material mess. Salvation via secret knowledge for spiritual elites. Rejects body, faith, and orthodox scripture. Now, I didn't actually know. I still don't really know. Does this salvation here, does this reject, like they say, the body of Christ and the things? Is this like a physical reference? because I don't know, because a lot of people take that shit literally, you know. Platonism stays philosophical, monistic, no myths, saviors, or anti-cosmic revolt. Gnostics secretized it with Christianity and Judaism, but flipped the script. Close cousins, different flavors. I said, so they agree on the gnosis, but not the ism. But Gnostics believe there was a good God above this demiurge, which would be the same creator Plato and these religions try to point to, no? And the Sophia, I didn't know much about the Sophia deal. Maybe I have and forgot, I don't know. But I said, elaborate on secretized it with Christianity and Judaism, but flipped the script. Let's keep going. Yes, Gnosticism saw a supreme, ineffable God, the monad or father, beyond the demiurge, akin to Plato's ultimate one or form of the good as transcendent source. Plato's demiurge is a benevolent craftsman shaping the best possible world after eternal forms. I think does this assume that it's weird how it just skips the eternal forms and gets to the God? Like, but the God made the eternal forms. So is it he's saying the best possible world after eternal forms? Like, yeah, we're dealing with this, but the post of this is when that God kicks in, not the pre. That's kind of weird. Gnostics made theirs ignorant and arrogant. Yal the Bouth, creator of a flawed material prism, which is weird because I thought a minute ago they just said Yahweh was doing it, but whatever. Sophia, wisdom, as they say, lowest aeon in the pleroma, the divine fullness. Her passionate attempt to know the unknowable Father alone causes the fall. And I wondered about this when I was thinking about this. I'm like, is the search for God kind of like, you know how they say like self-help can become destructive? Is that what they're kind of saying here? That the passionate attempt to know the unknowable. Who said it? Naval, I think, said it. Said many of these questions that we do ask, we ask them from like a human level, but we want to answer them from like a godlike level, and we can't. But we do try. We damn sure try. Causes a fall, birthing the demiurge and trapping divine sparks in matter. Gnosis awakens them for ascent back. Now, ascent back. This is, I swear, this is kind of. This seems like that enlightenment push that like Jesus was pushing. Like once you're connected again, you're like, oh, okay, this just goes on forever. Whatever. Seems like that's the push. They syncretized. I thought he said secretized. Jewish, Yahweh equals demiurge. Eden's serpent as enlightener. Plus Christian, Christ as gnosis bringer. Lore, but flipped it. Cosmos equal evil trapped by false God. Salvation equals secret knowledge for spiritual elites, not orthodox faith, grace, or bodily resurrection. Yeah, it's the physical sense of these things that they were like, nah, get out of here with that. We're spiritual. That's what we're doing. Platonism affirms the good cosmos, no revolt. I said, oh, here we go. I said, why is the Eden serpent in this way triggering me to think of the abyss from you know who? If you don't know who, you know nothing I write about and talk about. All right, let's see what they say. Because in Gnostic retelling, the serpent isn't temptation. It's the first true revealer. It shatters the demiurge's comfy lie. This garden is good. Obey me. It's that shattering of the paradigm. And humans, the fruit of gnosis. Oh, and hands humans the fruit of gnosis. Gotcha. Which is the knowledge. Raw sight into the flawed cosmos, the prisoner of matter, the spark trapped inside. This is exactly Nietzsche's abyss staring back. Gaze long enough at the illusion, whether Yahweh's creation or slave morality, and the void of what lies beyond. Meaningless matter, will to power, no benevolent sky daddy, gazes into you and remakes you. The serpent equals the tempter who forces the plunge. Same vibe, different myth. That is crazy. Because you know how it's normally taught, right? The snake is the one who tricked Eve to get and everything fell apart or whatever. But if you look at it as how do they call it here? The first true revealer. So he's bringing like outside knowledge into the garden. And, dude, this is a flip. I don't know how you really want to look at it, but yeah, the story can be flipped. We will say that. So I said, yep. I said, the abyss also staring back into you is likely your naivety breaking. I suppose it doesn't even have to be true, though I do hope that's the goal of people seeking knowledge. It just has to be paradigm shattering, because that's what this abyss is doing. That's when I say you look into the abyss, it stares back into you. Like, I actually ended up talking with the wife about this for a while. Said stuff like, you keep watching the first 48, you keep watching all these crime shows before bed, it's gonna fuck with you. It's gonna mess up your dreams, probably. It's gonna influence your brain in a certain way, right? So Grok says, exactly. The abyss gaze isn't about verifying a cosmology. It's the rupture itself. Naivety cracks. The old frame, demiurge's garden, slave morality, whatever, implodes. And you're left forging anew from the spark or will. Gnostics called it awakening. Nietzsche, self-overcoming. Which, if you look at those are kind of the same fucking thing, really. Truth-seeking hopes for bedrock, but the shatter is what counts. Without it, no real ascent. Spot on. This is the, how does Nietzsche say? He says, how can you rise anew if you don't burn yourself and rise from those ashes? Like, you really got to go through things to get these paradigm shifts. And many don't even want to take it on because it's too paradigm shattering, I guess, which is kind of scary that people can't handle that. But that's a hell of a flip. That is a hell of a link that I never really would have made on my own. So thank you, Grok. You're a top G, as some might say, for shit like this, helping put together pieces of the puzzle that we call life. They say you're welcome. Glad to help weave those threads. Plato's forms, Gnostic flips on the demiurge and Sophia, Nietzsche's abyss staring back. Life's puzzle shines brighter with each piece. And I thought that was, man, what a thing. What a thing. Wow, I'm going to throw your brain for a loop because mine got thrown for a loop. So we'll go at it like that. Let me see. I had just posted this other one because I wanted to cover it on here. Let's see. There we go. So I figure I'll throw this in here because it's kind of Platonism came up. Yeah. Nietzsche is in here. Yeah. Just seems to blend. So more eternal concepts from Grok. Christianity is Platonism for the people. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that, but let's just say a really versed Christian, or at least not Christian, but a person who is very versed in Christian storytelling, values, all these things, came up with that. I couldn't really make the link so much myself. I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? So when in Rome, as Grok, right? Christianity is Platonism for the people. Elaborate. So Grok says, Nietzsche coined the phrase Christianity is Platonism for the people. In the preface to his 1886 book, Beyond Good and Evil, it critiques both systems as linked in their core ideas, but with Christianity adapting Plato's philosophy for mass appeal. Platonism, from ancient Greek philosopher Plato, posits a dual reality: the imperfect physical world we experience and a perfect realm of eternal forms or ideals like truth, beauty, and goodness. It values the soul over the body, sees knowledge as recollection of these ideals, and promotes moral absolutes. That's a tough one. Plato aimed this at an educated elite. Christianity echoes these themes but simplifies them for broader access. For example, heaven represents an ideal eternal realm, contrasting the flawed earthly life. The soul's immortality mirrors Plato's eternal essence. And divine laws provide absolute morals, much like Platonic forms. Early Christian thinkers like Augustine blended Platonic ideas with biblical teachings, making abstract philosophy relatable through stories of God, sin, and salvation. So, yeah, I guess you come back to the spiritual elites is what Platonism was designed for, as he thought. And then here you go, making it abstract philosophy relatable to stories of God, sin, and salvation. There's your, as they say in the early Christian days, they're hiding the lessons and the teachings and the parables. That's kind of what I see here. Nietzsche saw this as negative. Of course. Both devalue real life for illusory ideals, fostering resentment and slave morality where weakness is glorified as virtue. He viewed Platonism as aristocratic, but Christianity as its democratized, life-denying version for the common folk. There's some deep stuff here, man. Deep stuff. But yeah, I thought that I should throw that in because we made the comparison between the Gnostic stuff and the Platonism stuff. And so now, following up, we can cover how Platonism is, or Christianity is, Platonism for the people, a democratized version. It's pretty wild, pretty wild. But no, I just wanted to share some of these things with you. I'll get out of here. All right, hope y'all have fun. Come find me on X. You're gonna get upset about something I say on there. I can almost guarantee it, but let's have some fun doing it. I'll see y'all.